2025 so far has been an interesting year for NIKKE, not only because we're getting really good waifus, but also because they keep increasing the amount of banners we get. This wouldn't be a problem if we would be getting more normal banners than limited seasonals or 1%. But the reality is that, sadly, right now, if we talk about NIKKE, as you can see on the list, it's not looking good. And I am including Bestie, Emma, and Enwa, which are still not here, right? I'm still including them just for the sake of, okay, they are the next banners, let's put them on the list too. But as you can see, limited, seasonals, and 1% are way more than the normal banners we get. Not only that, we'll go into this into a second, but the normal banners, most of them fucking suck, alright? So, let's talk a little bit about this, as usual, before we start. Hello Dainers, welcome back to the Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict. I got Flora's background today, and she was a character that I didn't care too much about her. She was one of the few characters I actually skipped, but then I got after her banner ended on like a normal multi, so I was pretty lucky with that. And then over time I got the MLB, so can't complain. She's a cute girl, cute background, even though she sucks ass in game, right? That said though, let's talk about the banners themselves, why this is a bad thing, obviously, for all players, regardless of if you are a free-to-play, light spender, or a well, and a little bit of my opinion on what I stand on this. Leave a like, subscribe, have a go to the channel, and let's go directly into the japping for today. So I think we can start with why this is bad. I don't think I need to explain this, but I know some people will be like, Sefhi, as a free-to-play, I can get most of the characters, just because I'm not pulling everywhere, as it should be. You should not pull on every single banner as a free-to-play. The thing is, there is RNG. Just because you've been lucky on the 1% or on the seasonals and on the collabs does not mean everyone will be as lucky. There will always be people who get fucked on the banners, on multiple banners in a row, okay? At the end of the day, this is a gacha game. RNG is always gonna be there. You cannot just use your account, your luck as a reference as to what everyone is doing, right? Because I could just say, guys, you always have gold tickets available, so just keep pulling, never have gems on your account, be like me. But the reality is that I'm a fucking gambling addict and I will keep spending money to get more pulls, right? So it's not a good reference to only use your account. This is bad regardless who we're speaking for. More banners overall without increasing the amount of rewards we get means we are getting overall kind of fucked. For example, I would expect that the next event we're getting, Enwa Emma Bestie, we're getting 3 multis, 1 for each character. We'll see if the event shop is actually giving us those 3 multis or we're only getting 1 or maybe 2, right? That's one of the things that I dislike when they're doing events like this, that we overall get less pulls than what you will be getting. On normal banners, you always get like 1 multi, right? But when we're doing bigger and longer events, those pulls don't really match and don't catch up. Sometimes they do, depends on the event again. Which, by the way, this has been on 8 months. Look at the amount of banners we've gotten, including reruns, of course. It is crazy. It's crazy. So this benefits absolutely nobody, because the game, even though it has a 4%, it is harsh just like any other gacha out there, even more so when they are doing seasonals and 1% left and right. Also, I do want to show the difference between like the normal banners, how useful they are, versus the seasonals, the 1% and the limiteds. So I have a normal list right here, so we can go one by one directly. And I want to start with basically from the bottom, right? We can go into the 1% first, because sadly they are making every 1% banner really good. Of course, I expect Pilgrims and other specs to be strong. It would be weird if they are not strong. But when we talk about Siren, Mihara, Rapid Red Hood, and SBS, they are characters that are all meta. Can you skip them? Can you not pull for them? Yeah, you can. But for example, in the case of Rapid Red Hood and Siren, the power creep they bring into the game is stupid, right? You could skip Mihara and SBS even though you are breaking your account by doing so, instead of if you are pulling for, like, let's say fucking Breedy, right? But still, these 4 banners are 4 banners you do want to be pulling on. You cannot skip a single one of them. And the same applies to the seasonal characters, because you can say, okay, Sakura, most people can skip on every situation. And then Elec and Rosanna, you only pull if you care about raids. Doro is the only one you have to pull, right? You have to pull. The other 2 are more situational, and I can see people skipping them, absolutely. Still, seasonal characters not coming back, kinda harsh skipping them. When we talk about limiteds, the collaboration characters we've gotten so far, you could be removing A2 and 2B because they suck ass by today's standards, right? But when it comes to Evangelion, you still need to pull for Mary, you need to pull for both Asukas. The only 2 characters you could be skipping are both Reis, because both Reis, their only functionality in life is to buff both Asukas. Still, you should be pulling for them in order to increase your damage output on your Asukas, but you can skip them. And when it comes to the Stellar Red collaboration, Raven is a must pull, and I can see some people saying you can skip Eve, but the reality is that thanks to her damage taken, she's a fantastic character to be pulling for. Her damage is great, her crit is great, and she can be put into a lot of team compositions because she gets enough crit rate on her own. And again, the damage taken just makes it so she can fit into any team and will increase the damage of your other DPSs. But it's kind of harsh to skip, and again, I don't think you will be skipping them. I can see Rosanna and Elec being skipped though. So we're talking about from 4 seasonals, one of them is mandatory. From all of the limiteds, most of them are mandatory, and the 1% are actually mandatory banners to be getting. Let's compare this with the 2% banners, right? Let's remove NY Man Bestie because we do not know anything about them. Let's go into the other characters. Sora was absolute trash. Kay, you can skip. Trina, Crust, Breedy, I'm gonna be honest, okay? Crust has a nice burst, but it's not enough to consider her like a... Both actually, Trina and Crust have like a decent burst you could be using, but it's nothing that is like, oh yeah, this is meta defining. No, it's a nice character to have if you have nothing else, that's it. Trina and Arcana are useless without their counterparts, Scarlet and Isabel. And does Isabel does great damage with Arcana? Yeah, absolutely. Do you have Isabel and can you afford to build 2 characters when this should be like a normal buffer rather than just 1 character? Not really. Doing treasures for characters is a stupid system in my opinion, and one that most people can completely skip. Because even with those buffers, they cannot compete with the main damage dealers on Electro, which is sadly Cinderella, right? There is no competition. When it comes about mana, she has good utility, but then again, it's not a must pull character. Same applies for Crust. The only 3 characters in here that I will say, yeah, you can pull for them. If we are honest for a second here, Breedy is a nice DPS, but the only 2 mandatory characters this year were the mates. Outside of the mates, the other characters, if you come here to the list into the normal ones, were characters you could have skipped without a single problem. None of those characters right there are mandatory to pull or were doing something on the meta that changed anything. It was only both must and anchor. That's it. So if you compare that, and again, let's remove this 3. Let's keep Breedy here, because why not? If you compare that with the 1%, if you compare that with the seasonals and with the limited characters, there is clearly a discrepancy on how useful some of these characters are. And again, I know what some people will say. Sefhi is good and normal characters are skippable because it means you can save resources. Bro, why do I want characters that I will never use? Why do I want a character that is fucking trash and I will never use, even if she looks really good? It doesn't matter if she looks good and if she has good fan service and if I like the unit personality itself, because you will never use them. Oh, Sefhi, Surface 1.0, suck my dick, alright? Surface 1.0 ain't here, and the same applies for most of the characters on the screen right now. There is too many characters that are useless, and no one is telling Shift Up you need to release a new character every other week, alright? Because if we got like a slower pace of release for the characters, I don't think people would complain on that. All that jumping aside though, that's pretty much everything for the run today. Just complaining a little bit about the amount of banners we are getting, in contrast to how useful they are. I would prefer if we had a similar situation to Lost Sword, where they release a new character, and then there is like 2 weeks where they don't release a new character, just rerun banners. I honestly don't think most people would complain if we get reruns in NIKKE. In fact, that might be a topic I make on another video, but I would prefer 1,000 times to get a new banner, and then the next banner, instead of a new character, just do a rerun for fucking, no bro, Volume. Still a decent character, some people might be pulling for her, right? And when you are doing rerun banners, take that opportunity to buff the characters that are absolutely disgusting and useless, right? Like most of these ones right here. But still, Shift Up prefers to go with the route of we'll fix the characters later with a treasure. Maybe, maybe not. That's it. Enough ranting. That's gonna be about for this video, right? Do let me know how you guys feel about right now the pace of banners we are getting and the amount of limited and seasonal as well. We are live every single day. Link in the description down below. Good luck with your pool narrates. I'll see you in the next one.